Hello again, everyone. It's Abra, and I'm back to give my 2 cents on Inglorious Rex 2 by Shane Davis and Yanzi Lin. So issue 2, Heavy is the Crown, sexy cover, picks up with a flashback. You see the little 232 where he's kind of in an incubator growing, and you get kind of a little flashback here with young Alex and his brother Nate. Nate's kind of giving him advice. You can't just be really good in this sport. If you want to be the best, you have to be greater than great. You have to be able to overcome anything that comes in your path. When you live the life of a fighter, you're not only just, fighting for glory, but you're also fighting and training because, you have to evolve your Rex and you have to be able to defend the city. So there's more at stake than, just victories and fame and all of that. So then we flash forward to the future. Little T's been kind of happy because 232, he's just been dominating. But what no one realizes is that Alex is still not in control of 232. He can't really get 232 to listen to him. So what his dad has to do is kind of unplug him, disconnect him from the giant Rex, and kind of let 232 finish the fight and do his own thing. Meanwhile, Anatomic, she's no longer with Alex. She's kind of unhappy with how things went down. She's worried about him, but she's also worried about the bigger picture. She's worried that he is not going to be able to protect the city when the time comes because no one's fully aware yet that Alex is not in complete control of 232. She realizes that she's going to eventually have to confront Alex and 232 for the bigger picture, for the greater good. Little T, he keeps trying to find more challengers for 232, but it's kind of hard. Some people aren't happy with how Alex beat Gunn in issue 1. They think it was kind of shady, but everyone's still interested to see what happens. And then we see he's worried about how 232 always screams epic, he says, because I didn't build a Rex to talk. So he's wondering what the heck's going on with that. In the meantime, people are also wondering, why hasn't Alex's Rex 232, why hasn't he evolved? Because by this point, he should have evolved and gotten bigger, because that's the whole point of the Rexes. They need to develop and grow. And then meanwhile, at one of the press events, Alex, is getting ready to talk to the press, and then he's confronted by Anatomica. She's saying, why don't you tell them the truth? Why don't you tell them that you're not in control of 232? And T obviously sees this as an opportunity, so he decides to set up a fight. Alex is worried because this was his former girlfriend, and he doesn't want her to get hurt, and his dad's just saying, just focus on the fight. So then we get to the day of the fight. Razor, Anatomica's Rex, she's smaller, but she's had a number of evolutions, so she's stronger, and she also has these poison spikes that she can weaken her opponents with. They're fighting back and forth, and in the meantime, Little T has these drones where he goes out and he tries to steal eggs from some of the vial, and unfortunately one of the creatures ends up following the drone back to the city, and before they can close the doors, the creature kind of wedges itself in there. This causes the alarms to go off. This is during the fight, and so the defense of the city is top priority. So the fight is interrupted, and the Rexes get teleported out into the city so they can fight the giant vial monsters. This kind of creates a problem because 232 kind of wants to do his own thing. This is kind of what Anatomica was worried about. But they end up getting, this was kind of a cool shot, they end up getting kind of rocketed out. But as they go out into the city to fight the vial, the huge creatures, they also kind of continue their fight as well. So they both go out, but only one of them is meant to return. And they kind of have this neat little back and forth. 232 and Alex end up getting thrown into a building. It's kind of this neat scene. Kind of reminded me of Man of Steel, how Zod and Superman are just kind of crashing through the buildings and creating havoc. And you just kind of see the scale and the mass destruction between these Rexes and then also these creatures, the Vile, that are out there. They're just huge. They're trying to fight the Vile that are around them. They're trying to fight each other, continue the match. And they're getting surrounded. It's kind of crazy. This is the first time that Alex has been out in the city and having to fight the Vile. He's kind of in a rookie situation. He's at a disadvantage that way, but also too, this whole time he's not controlling 232, and they're getting more and more out of sync. And then Alex kind of passes out because he's having trouble breathing. He's getting overwhelmed. And while Alex is unconscious, he ends up having this really cool memory / encounter with his brother. And he's kind of able to gain a little more insight as to why he's having so much difficulty controlling 232. 232 is trying to figure out a way to take out Razor, and due to his actions, that awakens an even bigger threat. So I don't want to give any more away. So what are my thoughts on volume 2 of Inglorious Rex? I think I liked it a little bit more than book 1. I think by the very nature of issue 1 and kind of having to explain everything, it kind of takes a while to get you into the story, into the world. But by the time issue 2 picks up, I really felt more connected to Arc City and the players. And I like the concept of piloting the Rexes, the giant monsters. This was an interesting take because they grow these monsters, these Rexes, from the pilot's DNA. And I think there's kind of this interesting dynamic that's kind of created because you have Alex and he's having to control his dead brother's Rex. So while they're family, it's obviously, not his DNA, it's his brother's DNA. And that kind of familiarity, but also that disconnect there, I found that kind of interesting in the story. The sequel ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. When I finished, I was just like, no, I want more. So I am definitely on board for issue 3. Giant monsters are always fun. There's so much you can do. It'd be kind of interesting to see the different variations of Rexes that Shane is going to use for book 3. I like the dynamic between Alex and Anatomica. I like that they have a history, they have a relationship, and that they have this conflict that has kind of put a wedge between them. It's not just about a rivalry in fighting. There's this whole bigger picture. It's not just about having the glory and being the best fighter. There's so many lives depending on them. With Inglorious Rex 2, it continues that same standard of excellence that we've come to know and expect from Shane Davis. He does a lot of interesting layouts from panel to panel to make it visually interesting for the reader. I really enjoyed the colors by Jason Wright. They're really rich and vibrant. I felt like they really popped. And I think they kind of change and have a different mood depending on what's going on and where the scene is taking place. The scenes where there's action and fighting are just very dynamic and very visually entertaining. Definitely really liked it. Like I said, it was even better than the first one. Ends on a cliffhanger, but I'm definitely looking forward to the 3rd book. So this is a definite recommend. So those are my 2 cents on Inglorious Rex 2, Heavy is the Crown. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.